Thank you very much. We know that we have a very rich day today with many stages going on with lots of talks, but I'd like to invite our audience to come to our stage C, which will talk about very exciting topic of deep tech investment. And we are inviting 3 distinguished guests joining us. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Junfeng. Zheng from CGTN, China Global Television Network. I do a lot of business reporting. I'm anchor of business news on CGTN. And I've been visiting Beyond Expo for quite a few times. I was here in the first year. And in our 3 guests, would you like to introduce yourself from you, Stephen?
Hi, I'm Stephen Drost. I'm one of the co-founders of CodeBase. We're an ecosystem builder in the UK. We work with governments, universities, and large corporate clients to help startups grow faster and do more.
You're based in?
Edinburgh. In
Edinburgh,
Scotland.
yeah. Edinburgh University is renowned for its
computer science.
Computer science, exactly.
Yeah.
Eugene, very accomplished VC investor, TSVC, which stands for Tsinghua Silicon VC, right? That says a lot about your background. Tell us about yourself.
Thank you. Eugene came from Silicon Valley, California. In 2010, started a fund called a TIC Angel Fund, Tsinghua Entrepreneur and Executive Club Angel Fund in the Valley. And we are 14 years in operation, supporting the immigrant founders in United States right now. Yeah.
Eugene's VC has been very renowned for successfully investing many unicorn companies such as Zoom. Yeah, you go like 1,000 times return, right?
Okay, so the cost was 11 cents.
11 cents?
Yeah.
11 cents
So,
USD.
Yeah, because the stock fluctuates so much, so
okay.
I share the cost. It's easy for everyone to the math.
Okay, check out how much Zoom is valued now.
It was as high as over 500, but today it's not.
500 on, oh my God, oh gosh. And tell about yourself.
Hi, Steve. My name is Jung-hee Ryu. I'm founder and CEO of the Futureplay, and one of the top-tier accelerators / the early-stage VC in Korea. So we usually invest to the deep tech companies since 11 years ago. I founded a company, OlaWorks. It was in the early stage, the AI company, and the company was acquired by Intel. So after that, I decided to do something for the researchers, making their own company. So that's why I founded this company.
Great. So Jung-hee from Korea in Asia, and Eugene's from the United States, originally from China, but based in Silicon Valley now. And Stephen is based in Edinburgh. So we have a nice pan-out of China, Korea, and United States, and Europe, probably UK, because sometimes we want to, both.
Both.
One line to describe your understanding of deep tech, please.
For me, deep tech nowadays is mostly based around AI. We see very much AI as a horizontal, not so much a vertical. And the other piece I would add to that is that I think the days of founders like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates who could be college dropouts, that's over. You need to be connected to research. You need to have a PhD to be a kind of founder in the AI game. That would be deep tech for me.
Okay, mainly AI. What about Eugene?
So it's not a super well defined, but let me try. So deep tech, it's not by business model or operation. So it's not differentiated by the business model or operation. And so that's kind of the key area. There are a lot of, like robotics, semiconductor, biotech. Of course, every day now, everything is enabled by AI as a back end. So that's kind of my definition. Yeah.
So, Yui, your view from Korea?
So in my opinion, the deep tech means that the whole new original one, they're making some real 0 to 1. So there are no competitors. They should be alone to just doing that. So based on that, they can make the J-curve because there are no competitors. So based on the technology itself, they can make some product on that, and there are no competition. That's the meaning of Deeptech, I think.
Okay. Now, Eugene, because you have been investing in the US Silicon Valley and you successfully invested in a number of unicorns. How many? 6?
About 10.
10 unicorns.
Yeah.
10 unicorns from TSVC. So what's the deep tech investment environment around Silicon Valley? Tell us about that.
Yeah. So very good question. Okay, when I went to Silicon Valley, and the dominant was Silicon Valley, called a chip semiconductor, right? So that's my generation. And afterwards, many VCs, they put a label on their website, say no semiconductors. So after 90s, it's not a good investment, a good return. So that's why for a good 10 years, not a lot of VC touch anything of the hardware in nature. And then, as we all know, the best business model turned into software, SaaS, very fat business model with very high margin. Right? Why you invest in a company with 30% gross margin, versus 90%, right? But things are changing. As we know, hardware, all that related is important, for everything. So I think the chips and robotics, precision robotics, clean tech are right now getting more attention in Silicon Valley also.
Yeah, OpenAI certainly brought a lot of attention to the AI advancement in the US.
Yeah, definitely. Very fast changing, and of course, next battleground is the power. Where do you get the power, right?
Energy source.
Energy source.
Either from traditional, maybe in the US, shale gas.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Or solar.
Solar. Yeah. All that. Of course, a lot of people talk about nuclear also, but it's a whole ecosystem. So you need to address the emerging, the hyper growth area coming not from the oil, would be from the alternative energy source.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's fair to say that China and US are leading players in the world in the AI sector because of the sheer size of the market, because of the sheer size of the investment, because of the sheer support from government. What about Europe? It's a bit, I say it's a bit segmented? What's Europe's like?
Yeah, I think, so just to pick up on what Eugene said as well, I think we're seeing a world that from an investment perspective is shifting away from the SaaS models towards, hardware and the deep tech piece, but also the AI piece. And within that context, Europe is not a big player, frankly. A lot of the different parts are kind of missing.
Is not a big player, but Europe does want to be a big player, right? Because
I think they do. There's one large startup called Mistral, based in
What's
France.
that?
Mistral, okay. like the wind, based in France. But they're also super connected to Microsoft now, similarly to OpenAI. There's a question of resource allocation in Europe, frankly. There's not that much capital for those kind of things. It costs an awful lot of money to build those big platforms. I think the European view is more looking at human capital, looking at universities, looking at PhD programs around AI, and also taking advantage of the vast amount of data that the European space has, mostly the data that's in the English language.
Right. And Jung-hee, you were telling me about
Korean situation, right? So I think that every country has their own beauty, their own strengths. For example, in Korea, we have very strong the ecosystem on the content, like on the K-pop, K-drama, K-movie. And the other thing is that we have Samsung, LG, Hyundai Motors. We are very good at manufacturing some deep tech things. So on top of that, now the Korean deep tech companies, they are pursuing to making the whole innovation, the combining, for example, K-pop to the blockchain, the combining K-pop plus AI.
So you have content.
A cultural background.
Cultural background.
Yeah, and the other thing is the manufacturing. So Samsung is now the king of semiconductor, as you know. The Samsung is now trying to make on the better the processors the winning NVIDIA. To do that, they need some software partners.
Yeah, you have the infrastructure, technology
Yeah, kind
infrastructure.
of. So, and the Hyundai Kia, they already acquire the global humanoid company, the Boston Robotics. So they are now spreading their ideas. Not only they're just on the classic business to the AI, robotics, space tech, and the other things.
Great. Eugene, back to you. You said in your introduction, in your email to me, that you're not only looking at AI, but also precision manufacturing.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Why are you interested in that?
So I think look at, for example, smartphone assembly today. We have I saw a lot of robotics, but you think about smartphone assembly. Unfortunately, it's because the parts is so small. Today, it still depends on human. 就是大部分都是中国的女工young female workers with.
Well, that's not what I find out when I visited Shenzhen Pingshan's factory, not far from here.
Okay.
Smartphone manufacturing is now highly automatic.
There's certain
80 to 90% automatic.
Yeah. But a certain part assembly, like a wire or that. So
that's true.
Flexible cables. So.
Yeah. The cable. Yeah.
That's
so that's
true.
Still a lot of labor because the precision is so. You need a very accuracy, like a 25 micron below to address that.
You want to increase that, right?
Yeah. So you need to automate that part also. So you automate a lot of other parts, but quite a few areas still need to operate. So this is a very interesting area. As I speak now, one of the founder is right now working in Chengdu, helping one of the biggest companies to work out the real operation. So it's very important to liberate the workforce. So otherwise
to increase the automatic rate in production.
Yeah. In one workbench using the machine to replace 3 shift young workers. So that I think it's kind of very important innovation going forward.
What about clean tech? You're also interested in clean tech.
Yeah, clean tech. So also many areas, in storage, of course, solar, all that. So we invest in storage company, but also has a very strong angle with China supply chain. But 100% market in the U.S. A comparable product is the Tesla Powerwall, but that market does not exist in China because nobody at home need a power like a storage.
Okay, so it's a different lifestyle, different consumer behavior.
Yeah. So, and other area could be the energy become more and more important, and then how to measure the company power consumption from different energy sources. It's a software to help you to predict, measure, reconcile your energy bills. It's going to be very, very important, and how to even in the future trade the clean energy credit. So that's kind of quite a few areas that we
You see, that's the next big thing, right? Stephen wants to say something?
Yeah, I think clean tech and robotics are very, very interesting spaces for Europe and China to collaborate. So there's a lot of innovation in the UK specifically around robotics. Also there's lots of skins for robots to have that precision. What we don't have is the manufacturing capability, which makes China so interesting. And I think there'll be hopefully lots of new partnerships in that space of connecting innovations in robotics to advanced manufacturing in China. I think China's massively at the forefront of that, but there's a huge opportunity to sort of onboard European innovation into that space.
But the UK still manufactures some products, right? I mean,
Nothing
you have
compared to China.
Bentley, Dyson, Rolls-Royce, globally. I'm not joking.
There is some there, but it pales to insignificance compared to China. The advanced manufacturing specifically is super important for our robotics startups to embrace China to stay relevant. These things are compounding, so any advantages that people have, they just become stronger and stronger. So I think it's really important for European startups to reach out to the Chinese ecosystem and have places to dock and build stuff, particularly with things like clean tech, because it's one of the areas where everyone can agree and work together for win-win situations.
Right. What about university spin-outs? You were mentioning that.
Yeah. So I think spin-outs. It's all kind of the same lineage. So spin-outs will often focus around robotics. Pretty much every robotics startup I know has been a spin-out at some point in the UK. That is. And again, there are many universities. So, for example, the University of Edinburgh has a campus in Zheng. So there are these connections exist. What we're looking to do is really create more partnerships between China and Europe. And advanced manufacturing in areas like clean tech seem like obvious places to start where everyone can agree quite readily on a common vision.
Yeah, there's also potential where there's a whole lot of UK educated Chinese students who are coming back to do a lot of stuff.
Indeed, indeed. In the UK, especially amongst the more entrepreneurial students, very often they have a Chinese background.
Great. Korea has very strong manufacturers. Right? Do you do the manufacturing locally in Korea?
Sometimes, for example, the robotics and there's very, very sophisticated manufacturing. So the companies I invested, the robotics companies, they are usually manufacturing their robot inside of Korea. So I believe that the OpenAI, the made the very nice and the LLM system, the ChatGPT, but somebody said that it's an end of human labor, but that is an end of human mental labor or the intellectual labor. How about physical labor? The Eugene said that still there are remaining, the physical labor is huge. So we love to invest that areas. Recently, we invested a company, robotics AI company. They are cutting the pig's head sharply. So somebody should do that, but the humans hate that, to do that. No one wants to cut out the pig's head, but robotics can do that. So we love to invest that type of companies, helping real-world problems using the deep tech.
Okay. Next, as I first introduced to our audience, that we have a nice band from different continents, but is AI cooperation a global cooperation, or do we see segmentation in AI development? So everyone for themselves. I think US companies, where Eugene you're looking at, are trying to expand globally, right? Like OpenAI is trying to let everyone use ChatGPT and Sora and whatever later products they come out with. They have such ambition, do they?
Yeah, I think that's from a company perspective, everybody want to have a global kind of presence. For example, I chatted with someone, this company called Kata, one of our 2013 portfolio. So now, after almost 10 years, a little bit over 10 years, they want to expand to Singapore, Asia. So the company is doing called a cap table kind of management. That's the starting point. And then you do the fund admin on the whole ecosystem and the startup ecosystem. So everybody wanted to expanding globally. That's it. But on AI, unfortunately, it's more like isolated. The US, China, they do their own.
Isolated.
Yeah, and then the market, usually the startup we meet every day, right, on a daily basis. So usually they have to pick a market to go to. It's because the data is super sensitive. So it's wise to pick a market to go to. Many of us know a recent company called Eugene, right? So they got a very good traction in Silicon Valley, so raise a lot of money. So the many AI company application layer, a lot of Chinese entrepreneurs, they are very strong running consumer internet platforms. They are tested, they know how to do it better than globally. And there's a lot of opportunity for them to tackle Latin American market or US market. They have some good advantage. And most important, as mentioned, a lot of AI talents are really Chinese because of what they learn. So it's a very concentrated area. Like many years in semiconductor, many Chinese immigrants. But today in AI, it's also a super concentrated talent. You look at all the top AI companies, US or China, of course, right? So even in US, top team, many are Chinese talents in AI.
I hope our audience really paid attention to what Eugene just said. Very important insight. I'm not going to repeat it, but it's very important information. But I think many people in the area, in this area, have a lot of knowledge of it. Stephen definitely wants to say something about it. You're working on the biosystem of AI or deep tech in the UK. Do you think those deep tech companies based in the UK have an ambition to expand overseas to at least Europe?
Yeah, I think there's going to be, this is just an opinion, I think there's going to be a global setup where we'll have very large platforms that will dominate. And some of those platforms we already know, it will be Microsoft and Amazon and Google and all those kind of companies. So to that level, AI won't actually be disruptive. A lot of the wins will go to the large incumbents. But there will also be space for smaller entities to grow and find niches. There might even be another Google. There might be a new one. I don't really know. I think from a European perspective, there's also a desire to look at the regulatory piece around it. Essentially, AI is you know, it's deeply political and it's deeply philosophical about a way of seeing the world. What happens to privacy, what happens to data, all these kind of questions.
Are you saying UK companies have better understanding of European regulations?
I think the UK, because they're no longer part of the EU, have some kind of position to maybe negotiate between different areas and different philosophies of seeing what AI could be. And so the regulatory piece could be really interesting.
Jung-hee, as a business news reporter, I've constantly seen reports from our Seoul correspondent reporting on some very interesting applications of some technology-based applications in Korea. There was a story about a company coming out with a cab to help drivers find empty parking lots in places, and people sharing parking lot with their app. I think South Korea has this very distinctive culture in East Asia, where people are very tech savvy, they're quick to learn things, and really are very serious in using technology, very quick to jump on the technology bandwagon to move forward. And so tell us about this very unique environment where tech company can actually grow in domestic South Korean market, but may have an ambition to expand to overseas marketing in Asia and beyond?
Yeah, definitely. To survive, every Korean startups, every Korean company should going out. Think about Samsung, think about Hyundai, think about LG. They are survived because they are doing something on the globally. So based on that blood, every Korean startups are struggling to winning their game outside of Korea. So now some of the Korean startups found the recipe. So for example, the recipe of the OpenAI, recipe of the Google is just digging to the web information, digging to the website. So they are now providing multimodal, multilingual model. So what that means that, as you know, mostly the web data is written in English. So none of Chinese companies, none of Korean companies, none of Japanese companies can beat the US guys because of that. So they already have the English written data by themselves. Think about Google, they have their own data. To winning that giant, we should focus on the real world data, not the web data or the language data. So now the Korean AI companies, they are focusing on the real world data provided by the factories, provided by the farm, provided by the hospitals, something like that. So now Korea, Japan has much friendly policies for the startups using that type of data. It's much easier to getting the data than US and Europe. So now the startups are focusing on that, and based on that, they can make some global product.
Okay. Next, I'm going to ask a very relevant and important question, that is funding. Deep tech startups are difficult because they want to have access to infinite funding to pursue their R&D before they get maybe market access to make a revenue to break even and answer the exit requirement of their investors. Stephen raised in his email to me that he's focused a lot on the very imminent, very urgent funding needs of deep tech investment in the UK. Tell us about the situation there.
So I think this is probably for the whole of Europe. Deep tech is a lot more expensive than software investment. You need a lot more money. It takes a lot longer. It's just more complicated. So from a European perspective, there's just not that much capital there. So in many ways, we have a brain drain in some ways that the best researchers are joining, Meta and Google and all
Brain
those kind
drain
of
to
places.
the other side of the
Yeah.
Atlantic.
Yeah, pretty much. But I think sometimes not having capital can be a virtue as well. It can be a virtue. It's not just a bad thing. It can be a good thing. It can make you think more differently, be more agile, be more creative with the constraints you have. So I think that's what we're trying to do now, is like more of a focus on human capital, more of a focus on things like SLMs, so small language models, more niche applications. But you're right, in general, there's a huge challenge around funding.
What about Eugene? I guess the US
Funding. Yeah.
could be probably, I don't know, likely to be the single one market that may have the largest access to funding for deep tech companies.
Yeah. So traditionally, the deep tech is not the most favored for most of the VC funds. So far, still true. Very few funds. For us as a very early stage fund supporting very early kind of stage startups in many deep tech companies, not many of them. It requires the knowledge for every specific area, and also need to look out for future funding for the companies, where the coming from. So, of course, the U.S. Government is also learning something from others. So they do have some policy last few years, like some Chip Act, inflation. I don't know about the inflation reduction. It's the crazy. It's got nothing to do with inflation, but it's got it's like
I know.
very funny.
We don't want to talk too much about that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we are among the minority of funds willing to bet, and we believe the next decade also it will have better returns. It hasn't been proving very much yet, but I believe it's for the next 10 years we generate good return. So that's.
Jung-hee, funding in Korea?
In Korea, the most of VCs, they love to invest in deep tech. So it's now the tons of money go to the deep tech company,
Really?
not going to the platform company.
Okay.
So because they believe the platform's era is gone. And the other thing is the Korean government giving the free grant a lot for the R&D companies. And the other one is that in Korean stock market, there are the fast track for the deep tech startup only. So combining those three things, now the deep tech startup supporting is very bullish in Korea.
Last question, success rate. Eugene's record is about 3% success rate in investment out of probably 300 companies you invested, TSVC invested, 10 has become unicorns, and some of them being gone public.
Yeah, so we are about 4 or 5 and higher than the number you have.
Okay.
The success rate, different stage, right? So we although number is not super high, like a PE fund or that, but we start from the very beginning. Think about the company has 3 people, right? When we invest in Zoom, it's literally three people.
Oh my God.
They have the idea. So we are not a kind of when the company raised $1 billion and we put some money, then it's also unicorn. So that's our kind of the stage and focus. And right now, the more We look at locally the immigrant, the Chinese immigrant. We play a more role to help them to Zhuhai, for example, and help them to open the U.S. market. We become that bridge. So that's kind of the role we play. We believe the lot of Chinese entrepreneurs are well practiced, tested in local market, and have very good chance to be successful globally everywhere. And that's the opportunity I see, the wave I see, and it will be very good for even they go to UK or Korean. That's our position.
I got alert that this session is. We don't have much time left, so very briefly, Stephen, what about the 3% success rate that Eugene has achieved?
That's amazing. Those are the odds for early stage investing. If you look, I think the success rate of Y Combinator is like 4% or something like that. So that's best in class. So it's a hard business.
Yeah. Does it bother you? Very low success rate.
Since 11 years ago, we invested over 250 companies. 95% is still alive.
Wow.
So we made the 5 IPO, and we made the 15 M&A. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Great work.
Yeah.
Keep on with the job.
So I believe that deep tech startup is much easier to make money than the platform startup because they have a technology. So sometimes they fail to make on the product, their IQ higher with a large corporation.
Okay.
So it's much safer investment, I feel.
They can sell themselves to large corporations to cash out. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please, a big applause to our guests, Eugene, Steve, and Jung-hee. And I'm Junfeng from CGTN. Please continue to have more deep discussion into our afternoon session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your wonderful insights in the deep tech space in different angles. Thank you.